Hello everyone. As you know, the country is facing this country, the same majority of Europe too is facing a very, very tough winter. And it's in a very dire strait at the moment. In terms of the amount of people coming in from Ukraine, we have about nearly 60,000 here at the moment. And you're probably asking yourself, as I ask myself at night, where in the name of God are you going to put all these people? You can't even put people in who are homeless on the streets. You can't find anywhere for them. Nobody can, even here in Cavern, for example. Nobody can find anywhere to wet. Even people coming out of college trying to find a place to wet, nobody can do it. It's impossible. It's literally impossible to find anywhere. To even one bedroom, or even one room apartment, it's a one room house you cannot even get for money or for life. So, it's beyond me why the government again. I would have said there should have been a cap on Ukrainians first of all. Now, even people seeking asylum in the country should have been a cap on it, and the cap should have been either 4,000 or 5,000, because I say that's all the country would be able to hold, to deal with. And I think that would be reasonable. I think then we could say we've done our best. But taking in an insane amount and having nowhere to put people, it just doesn't make sense. And the Taoiseach are today coming out and saying the other day that they won't turn away refugees, even though they have nowhere to put them. Again, this is the fact. They have nowhere to put them, so why? Because again, let's be fair, other countries in Europe, Germany, France, the Netherlands, they're closer by. They have a lot more space, I'm sure, France and Germany, and they have bigger countries. Obviously, they have more places to put people, places to house people, compared to the Republic of Ireland, which is in a housing crisis, homelessness crisis. Go forward, barely anybody can get anywhere to live, basically. In other words, people are struggling to survive as it is, letting alone put more people into the fray. But yeah, take for example Finland, nearly with the same population as Ireland, taking in 50 times less than Ireland is. 50 times less. They're closer to Ukraine. And they're taking in 50 times less. But the thing about Finland compared to Ireland is the House and Force Initiative. So as soon as anybody arrives in Finland seeking international protection, straight away they get a house and they get everything. Um, but yeah, obviously in Finland they have a bit of brains, and like we're not going to take in 500,000 people and try and house them, because again that's simply impossible. Again, the government here, whether they take in 250,000, I don't know where they're going to house these 250,000 to get how to house the people they have here at the moment. And there should have been a cap in the first place, and obviously shouldn't after it's. I nearly would say from today on there should not be anybody else allowed to come in from Ukraine or come in from any other country. Because again, let's be fair, 60,000 in a few months compared to other countries. Other countries have less. The United States has less gone into it, and they're bigger. As you can see, the United States could house millions of Ukrainians if they wish to. Because they're a bigger country, more resources compared to the Republic of Ireland, which is obviously facing a housing crisis, homelessness crisis. Again, it's just for the sake of them too, the Ukrainians coming in, because we don't want them lying on the street along with the Irish people too, along with other Irish people who are homeless. We don't want that. We don't want to have people coming to the country and being added to the numbers on the street. It's simply not good enough. And again, the government should use common sense and be like, we're not going to bring them in just to have them lie in the street. Let's be fair. It's just insanity, the definition of insanity, that they don't realise that this country. It'd be different now in the morning if we all went to bed now tonight, and then we woke up in the morning to be 500,000 houses here, and we could house people, and everybody in the country was housed. There was no such thing as a housing crisis. There was no such thing as a homelessness crisis in the state. Then we could be like, fair enough. We have a few spare houses we can give to people, but that's simply not the case. We have to be in reality, because again the majority of these NGOs and politicians are in their own reality, and they don't seem to understand the logistics. Again, as I said from the first day they started, the logistics is not there. It's literally not there in the state. 5,000 maybe you could deal with, possibly the state could deal with, but 60,000 going on to 100,000, let's put it this way: there's not a hope in hell they can house or even give them just even a tent to put a head or put a roof over their head. It's simply not possible. We're only a small country. We're not a big superpower. Let's be fair. I know we're economic. We have a good lot of economics, but we're not. We're not Supermen. We can't build houses overnight and things like that. Like it's the definition of insanity. It really, really is. It's really the definition of insanity. And another thing I would say is, why is there so many young men? They're not supposed to be over in Ukraine fighting. I ask this because I don't mind the women and children so much, because obviously we wouldn't expect them to stay in the war zone. But why is there so many young men coming over? That's another thing I have to ask. Are they not supposed to? Is the government in Ukraine not saying that all men should fight in Ukraine? Again, this is the question we need to ask ourselves. Because I don't mind the women and children, because again, we have an obligation really to help them out too, the women and children. But the young men, I would say they probably nearly should be set back if they're coming from Ukraine, because the Ukrainian government again has issued that all men should fight. But yeah, again, that's just the way I see it. I don't understand that, but I can understand some people wanting to flee that too. But I'm sure people would agree. For a small country, we have taken in 50 times more than Finland, take for example, and again with the House and Force initiative in Finland, which literally build houses overnight, literally to do. Because they're more proactive than the Irish government, let's put it that way. But it's just the definition of insanity, the government over here, and saying and again they probably will take in 250,000, because it's 1,500 a week that's coming into the state. And I don't know where, and then probably about 300 from Syria or Lebanon and all them countries. I don't know where you could put these people, to be totally honest. I honestly don't. Because they're already using sports centres, they're already using B&Bs, hotels. Half of the 20, I think it's 29% now of the country's hotels and B&Bs have been used by Ukrainians seeking asylum. So obviously when the summertime comes around, there's going to be very little room for tourists to come in, so there's going to hit the tourist industry, even though the government are paying for the Ukrainians to be in them places. But yeah, that's going to limit the tourist industry in the Republic of Ireland this summer coming. Obviously, that's going to take an impact. There'll be less tourists, because obviously there'll be less rooms in the state for people to come and visit. Take for example tourists and things like that. It's simply not feasible. It's simply not feasible to continue this. Let's be fair, 1,500 people arriving every week. So basically, take for example, that's there or thereabouts. Let's take I'm trying to look at Ballinyara and County Cavan, that's about 1,500. So that's basically the population of a town in County Cavan coming in every week. So basically a new town every week in County Cavan, in terms of Ballinyara and County Cavan, because that's a population of 1,500. So basically every week there's another one of them. So I don't know how you, and again, it's simply impossible to do the house. You can see where I'm coming from. It's not that if we could do something, we would. Let's be fair. If we could do something, we would. And if everything was a bit better, like say for example, there was no homeless, and no Irish people homeless on the street, right? And there was loads of houses, and every Irish person was housed, and everybody was fine, and the state was doing well, and there was nobody on waiting lists or anything like that. Then we'd be all Gucci then, and then we could help out. But it's the fact that it's just the definition of insanity when you make a situation 10 times worse, which is putting more pressure on systems and logistics than is necessary. Again, it's not necessary to put this pressure on the logistics, and the government should know that. Obviously, they have some plan in their head, but let me know what you think.